Thank you, Roxanne. I feel bad. I forgot to turn that on. I'm sitting there trying to get my computer to work because it's running slow. Um, Welcome to the Bizarre and Unknown. We're going to be talking about mermaids. There's mermaids through cultures throughout history. Now that my computer is finally starting to speed up, maybe I can get some things done. Um, there's, I'm sorry, man. I was sitting there. I made a almost a 30-minute video about Count Saint Germain, and I'm guessing because I made that long of a video, sometimes hey Kevin, it bogs my computer down, and I'm thinking that's probably what happened because man, this thing is running slow. So one of the first ones that we're going to discuss, let me get this pulled up here. It's going to be the Greek mermaids. Let me try to get this popped up here. And I'll kind of show you a picture. You guys are going to have to forgive the graphics. These are actual depictions of what these cultures painted. So apologize ahead of time for the graphics. But I mean, so we're looking throughout all these ancient cultures and all these mermaids, which there's a huge misunderstanding about mermaids. Um, People have automatically thought mermaids were always half human, half fish. That's not true. Um, they were actually, because one time considered to be, and this started with the Greeks, and dang, down to the 3 yard line. Hey, Moon. So originally, Greeks considered mermaids half woman and half bird. But considering that all mythical creatures are constantly changing along with tradition, uh, oh crap, I forgot to put that on silent. My phone is going nuts over senior. You know, my youngest is a senior this year. Um, they were found that mermaids became half fish and half woman after a dispute with the muses. Their aunts, from the genealogical point of view, in ancient texts, mermaids appeared not alone, but in a group of two or three, and not only in water, but setting on reefs, waiting for arriving ships. So you can see here kind of where, in Greece at least, they originally were half bird, half human. I never knew that, honestly. Like so many other people, I always considered them always half human, half fish. And nutter butter. I got my tea. Had me a 4 meat pizza earlier. I was watching the game, and hey, Twisted. So we're tied right now, 10-10. We're first and goal on the about the 2.5 yard line, and we just got a touchdown. Going to be 17-10. So the description of the Triton is similar. Son of the sea god Poseidon for the Greeks and of Neptune for the Romans, Triton was a creature with the upper part of the body in the shape of a man and the lower part with a fish tail. Triton had the power to tame the turbulent waters by blowing into a shell. If you look back in history, we see that first mermaids appeared for the first time painted on caves in the late Paleolithic, the Stone Age, about 30,000 years ago, when human beings had a strong control of the land and began to sail the seas. So we're hearing descriptions of mermaids and tales of mermaids, 30,000 years ago. That tells you how long these things have been here. Now, people are going to tell you all the time these things can't be real. There's too many reports of these things throughout history, even in modern times, of people seeing mermaids. And the fact that our ancestors 30,000 years ago was talking about these things, has to lead that there's got to be some kind of truth to it. Now, could they have existed at one time and they no longer exist? That's absolutely possible. Um, I can't dispute that. Absolutely. Hey, Richard. Um, I just missed a comment here, or it got taken off. Never mind. Look like it got taken off. So, but even 30,000 years ago, they were talking about him being half fish, half man. So, what happened with the Greeks? I don't know. Maybe it was a misidentification of another creature, and that's why they thought it was half bird, half fish, or a half human. And then later on, they go, "Hey, we kind of messed up. That's not actually this. That's actually this." Um, or it just could have been what they thought. I mean, that's possible, Richard. I mean, that it is possible. I mean, there's so many tales of these things. We're going to learn here. They talk about how they once were humans, or they were gods and goddesses and demigods, and yeah. I mean, I can't. I would say there is a good possibility that they still exist for the fact that we're still getting reports to this day. Now, we're not getting a whole lot of reports, but we are getting them. And I know scientists always said that they confused them, hey, David, with the manatee. But there is no way in hell, I'm sorry, common sense has to dictate at some point in time. A man is not going to confuse a manatee as a dang as a hot chick that's half human and half fish. It just ain't going to happen. At the same time, we're going to learn in so many of these cultures that these things weren't really beautiful. Didn't come out to a later point in time, and it was mainly in writings, plays, that they were actually beautiful. We're going to actually see some of this kind of play out. The Greek name siren is related in the meaning of to rope. A mermaid would be something like the ones that tie or grab. Mainly sailors, tempting and enchanting them with the sweetness of their songs. Those songs were irresistible, and they fascinated anyone as their melodies were full of promises. Hence, the literally expression siren song. Throughout history, we can see that such attractions was not only united to a tuneful singing, but also to their femininity. I always thought the theory was stupid of what the scientists said. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. And maybe that's the butthole side of me. But logic, I mean, come on. Common sense, logic is going to tell you there's no way we're going to mistake a manatee for a freaking human. We look nothing alike. And then they want to tell you, it's because the sailors are hard up at sea. No, I'm sorry, man. That's not the case either. I know when Dolores Cannon's work, they brought up the mermaids, but quite a bit. Yeah. Grays are the mermaid. Maybe that's what they're mistaking the manatee as, is a gray alien mermaid. I'm sorry, dude. I mean, it just no. There's just no. I think they're just another destiny of being no different than Sasquatch. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why I find them very fascinating. I've always had a fascination. I remember the very first time I ever seen a mermaid remain was back in like 84, 85. I was in grade school, and my girlfriend had went to her grandparents in Florida, and they went to a museum down there in Florida, and she came back and brought me a postcard from this museum, and it actually had remains of a mermaid, and it wasn't human looking. I mean, that's the thing. That's the key thing. The remains were not human looking, but it was still cool. I mean, it was humanoid, just not what we thought of as half human, half fish. It was humanoid looking, more fish, but with human features. And then I can't remember if it was early '90s. I think it was around the early '90s. That museum in Florida that had those remains of a mermaid, those things disappeared, and they claimed they have never had it. And up until back in the mid or late '90s, when that trailer of ours I used to live in burnt to the ground, I had that postcard. So I was like, man, I could beg to differ right here. This is from your museum. Nowadays, though, I mean, they tell you something different. I know I'm not. I'm fluffy. No, it was actually a full-grown mermaid. It was fossilized remains of a full-grown mermaid that was found off the coast of Florida, and therefore they kept it in that museum there in Florida. I don't remember what it was. A big city in Florida. I don't remember. I think it might have been Miami, but I could be wrong. Honestly, I don't remember. That was back in like 84, 85. But they actually had it. But now they'll tell you they've never had that, and you can't find those postcards anymore, which aggravates the holy living crap out of me because I remember this. Hey, Tim. So it can. It can. You know, in this instance here, when I lost that turkey feather my brother gave me, I was out mowing in my field, and I didn't see nothing, and I noticed it was missing. When I came back around my second pass, this was sitting there. So it could be a gift. I mean, it could have meaning, and it may not. It's hard to tell. I say I'm a firm believer this one was given to me because I was upset that I lost the one that my brother had given me. Possibly, Richard. I mean, I can't say yes, you're right on that, but I can't say no either. I mean, it's possible. I think I'm more along the lines of kind of like us in Sasquatch. We were probably a part of the same line at one time, and eventually we branched off and went one way where they kept on. You know, and this could have been what happened with mermaids. Now, we're going to see in a lot of ancient cultures that talk about these people were cursed, and that's how they became. They either were cursed by their family or they were cursed by God, and that's how they became a mermaid. It's hard to say, man. I really can't tell you. Yeah, twisted it could be, and it could have been just one that fell from a bird. I mean, I don't know what kind of birds you got around there, but that is possible too. Oh, yeah. I mean, so that could be a gift. That could have been a gift given to you. I mean, it very well. I don't know, but the only thing I think would be white in that area would be doves. I mean, or bald eagles. I don't know if you got bald eagles there. Um, this being is always characterized by the living between two worlds, the sea and the earth, or between life and death, because we also find mermaids as funeral emblems and accompanying their singing those who began their journey to the afterlife. It is clear that the first written text talking about mermaids is the Odyssey. But as legend or oral story, we find more mermaids in other parts of the world. Hey, Kyle, let me get this next picture ready. So the next one we're going to talk about is mermaids from the Middle East. Yeah, pigeons are white sometimes too. Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit, Tim. I have. You know, in Africa, parts of them are don't like them. The other parts revere them, and we'll get into a little bit of that here in a little bit. Um, but the same with the Indonesians. Um, but yes, there is plenty of stories in them. A lot of more than anything else is the stories I hear. It's not so much that they kill them because they hate them; it's the fact that they catch them in their nets. I find more reports of them talk about catching them in their nets than I do with anything else dealing with that. Now, this is what your Middle Eastern mermaid is depicted as. Now, these artworks that I try to come up with is things from those periods to try to get it as realistic as possible for what we're talking about. So, um, in the Middle East, the first stories were mermaids were appeared around the Assyria in the year 1000 BC, when the goddess Atrahasis drove into a lake to or dove into a lake to take the form of a fish. As the gods would not allow her to give up her great beauty, only her bottom half became a fish, and she kept her top half in human form. Targatus, the Syrian goddess who ruled the seas, was consecrated and worshipped with fish in temples full of large ponds. That was a statue carving from the Middle East. This is when over in the Middle East when they carved these pictures of these mermaids. Um, this is what they carve them as. This is the most common type of statue you'll find over there. I've tried to keep it as much as possible. If I can find good ones, Richard, I try to. So that, if I remember right, that statue is very 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 old. I can't remember. I want to say it was from the Persian area, but I could be wrong. I don't remember. I was looking it up the other day, but I'll be honest, I forgot. I can almost guarantee you they do, and I guarantee you from what I hear from people from Florida, that's who came in and got those remains of that one I was talking about that I had a postcard of. Bam, we won 17-10. So yeah, um, I'd say you're probably hitting the nail on the head. Hey Don, let me get this next one ready because there wasn't a whole lot on the Middle East. The most of what I could find is what I read, what I created, or not created, what I wrote down. It was hard to find a whole lot on the Middle East when it comes to mermaids. A lot of it tied together with other cultures. So the next one we're going to talk about is the mermaids of China. These things are weird. These things are very very weird looking. This is what the yeah no we won, Roxanne. We won. This is what the Chinese people will tell you that their mermaids look like. I mean, this thing is a wicked looking little dude. Um, in China, many Chinese mythology tales talk about mermaids as wonderful, skilled, and versatile beings. I don't know why this thing keeps doing that. That's aggravating me. I want to have to talk studio about that. That's getting to be one bad problem. This thing doing this. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna have to talk studio about this. This is getting aggravating. In China, many Chinese mythology tales talk about mermaids as a wonderful, skilled, and versatile being whose tears become pearls. Mermaids are mentioned in some Chinese works, such as the Shan He Jing, an ancient Chinese text from at least the 4th century BC that contains the earliest references to mermaids, calling the creatures Ling Yu or Rin Yu. It is said Ling Yu has a human face and a fish's body and lives in the sea. According to the book, apart from Ling Yu, there are other kinds of mermaids, including the Chiru, the Dairine, and the Hurin. In one chapter, mermaids are depicted as sounding like crying babies and having 4 feet. In addition, some mermaids have the ability to resurrect when they pass away. Yeah. Uh, no, and that's what I was kind of talking about a little bit ago, Tim. Is the mermaids that we think of, we're finding out they're not. That was more that came on later in life, and that was mainly like Greece, Rome, places like that, and Vikings. But a lot of cultures will talk about how these things they're not very good looking. The Ebo or the Fingyi, god of the Yellow River in the Chinese fairy tales, is described as a man with a half human and half fish body. Shi Zi, a textbook from the 4th century BC, relates to when Da Yo tried to end flooding on the Yellow River. A man with a fairy's face and a fish's body gave him a book about the river and disappeared. So Xinji, another Chinese book written in the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644, records mermaids named Jiaxio living in the South Chinese Sea. Their tears can become pearls. Their cloth or silk made by Jia Rin is called the Jiaxo or Jiasha, which was mentioned in many poems in Chinese ancient literature. In the Dream of Red Chamber, Ling Daiyu also used Jiaxo to describe the silk handkerchiefs given by Ji Baiyu. Yes, that is yes. Um, I've not found a whole lot of that in history, Tim, but we may hear something. Mermaids recorded in the Qingzai Zahi Zaji, a book composed by Lin Kun in the Yuan Dynasty, 1271 to 1368, are more like humans without any fish-like features. They are beautiful females with fairy skin and long hair. The Ni Haung, a biologist from uh, Qin Dynasty, 1644 to 1911, also mentioned mermaids in his He Cho To with black skin and yellow hair. The mermaids in this book have two sexes, webbed hands and feet, and human eyes, mouths, and nose. Unlike the others mentioned, they have red wings on their backs. Lao Zahi Zi Yi, a famous novel by Pu Sungling, written in the Qin Dynasty, pictures a kind-hearted mermaid named Bai Quilin. Bai becomes human and gets married to the son of the businessman, but she has to stay in the lake from time to time to remain vigorous and fit. Yes, there is a lot of in some cultures. Yes, they are sirens are known to take and drag sailors to their death. Not in all, but in some, yes. I think it was in South Africa in 1970s. It could be. We'll get to Africa here pretty soon. Um, the next one that we're going to show is the Roman. So we're going to get into the Roman side of the mermaids. And this is, you're going to see here again, in this culture again, that this is the most common style mermaids. Half human, kind of beautiful, half fish. Not every culture depicts them this way. But like I said, Greece, Rome, they're the ones that mainly depict these of being like that. Roman mermaids are also found in Romanesque columns, sharing promises with the Nereids and the Harpies. Romans adopted the sirens into Rome mythology as a woman with a fish tail, and that became the much preferred interpretation in later times. The sirens were supposedly daughters of the river god uh, um, Achilles, and this lends some weight to the fishtail appearance. The Roman region of Gaul converted a vast terrain, including what is today France, Belgium, portions of Switzerland and Germany, Luxembourg, northern parts of Italy, and the Netherlands. The area's western side of all ocean shore, and the waters increasingly brought into its contents up onto the sands. Locals began to whisper about certain kinds of creatures known only in legend up until that time that could be seen in some numbers scattered on the beaches. It was a human like creature covered in fish scales. They referred to them as nereids or sea nymphs, but the description fits what we would today call mermaids. When the government became aware, he soon wrote to the when the governor became aware, he soon wrote to the Roman Emperor Augustus of these bizarre events. As strange or stranger still, humans were not the only land creatures with aquatic doppelgangers arriving on the shore. In some instances, the ocean receded, and strewn about in incredible numbers were aquatic versions of all kinds of creatures: elephants, rhinoceroses, and rams. There were oceanic oddities in Rome. There was exhibition of a behemoth of the from the sea. Its skeleton over 40 foot long in the Gulf of Cadiz. There were reports of mermen who crept out onto the ships at night, sinking them. These tales, beyond belief to modern Odysseyans, all appeared in Pliny the Elder's Naturalis Historia. The Romans were living under the traditional Roman mindset that the world was alive with gods, goddesses, and nymphs. There was not yet any exclusive catalog of the living things on the earth, and most information passed by word of mouth before being recorded. Yes, so many, and cave paintings shows of mermaids. Like I was talking about earlier, some of the oldest recordings we have is over 30,000 years old of these creatures. They were finding cave paintings in Norway, Egypt, and Greece of mermaids. So these things have been, before we had any kind of written language, any kind of historical written down documentation, they were painted on cave walls. So this is nothing new. These mermaids, there's nothing new to them. They did. They did, Richard. Absolutely, they did. You know, so I mean, that's how they kept their stories, and they would sit and tell their stories by a campfire, and the paintings on the walls what told the stories, and then they would read the paintings, and you're going to see these. Yes, the Pyrese map has one. Absolutely, you know, it does. Get this next one ready here. So the next one we're going to kind of talk about is the Irish mermaids. Try to get this up here for you. Hey, Roger. So here's your Irish mermaid, and yet again, you're finding another culture that shows them as a beautiful woman upper half and a fish lower bottom. Another thing I forgot to mention in the Middle Eastern ones, there's several depictions in the Middle East of them having two tails, kind of like what that evil company everybody likes at their coffee, Starbucks, used to have, was the two tails. In Ireland, we find the Merrows, a species whose females are the equivalent of mermaids, except for the membranes in their hands. The Merrows supposedly require a magical cap in order to travel between deep water and dry land. The term appears in two tales set in Ireland, published in the 19th century. Lady of the Galleries, where a green-haired Merrow weds a local Kerryman who deprives her of the magical red cap. Coholeen Duruth, the cap, and the soul cages, where the green-bodied grotesque male Merrow entertains a fisherman at his home under the sea. The tales with contemporary were first published in T.C. Croker's Fairy Legends, 1828. William Butler Yeats and other writings on the subject borrowed heavily on this work. The soul cages turned out not to be a genuine folklore, but rather a piece of fictional fabrication by Thomas Kitley. A number of other terms in Irish are used to denote a mermaid or sea nymph. Some tracking back to mythology tracks from the medieval to the post-medieval period. The Middle Irish Morducan is the siren-like creature encountered by legendary ancestors of the Irish, either the Godels or the Milesenes. According to the Book of Invasions, this was as Samguabu and Suri are terms for the mermaids that appear in onomastic tales of the Dinshinkus. A Marigold, literally sea wanderer, is the term for the mermaid Lee Ban. So you can see where, writers, even back then, would get to the point where they change stuff up. I mean, this is where you start to see the change of what they kind of look like. And a lot of it has to do with your playwriters. Back then, there was writers write plays, and they wrote books, but plays were very prominent back then. So you need to catch the people's interest. Well, how do you catch the people's interest? Describe something that the guys are going to like, because it was the guys dragging the girls to there, or mainly the guys who were watching them. Which is funny too, because back in them times, guys played female parts because females weren't allowed to act. Interesting bit about their duality. These creatures inhabit two worlds, land and sea, but are not completely at home in either kind, like us humans navigating through different roles and environments. Yes, not every single culture talks about how they can come on land. Some cultures do, some cultures don't. Now, could that be just part of their mythology and that's why they can do it? Probably. Or could it be there's different types of mermaids and some are on the level of the supernatural, on the goddess or the, type of like the nymphs, where they have magical abilities to be able to do that. That is also a possibility. Um, but there seems to be a lot of cultures that do actually talk about them being able to do it, just not all of them. The next one. So the next one that we're going to talk about is the Scottish, uh, which is interesting because Scots and Irish are basically cousins. So we'll see here what their familiarity of them are. But this is what your Scottish mermaid looks like. Um, you can see a lot of elfish in there. She's got the elfish ears. Um, she does have an upper, for the most part, an upper half that is human, but there's also a lot of the fishness throughout her body. So you can see there is a similarity, but there's also a difference between them too. In Scottish mythology, there is the sea, Siegs, the maid of waves, a special mermaid whose lower half is a salmon. The sea, I'm going to type this up here because I want to jack this word up every single time. It's flopping, I'm chopping. I wonder if they were the only seawater or no, they're actually talked about in cultures of both being in sea and fresh water. There's both free and freshwater types. This is the name that I'm trying to pronounce. Actually, I just remembered there's a way I can pronounce this. Let me try that. Let me do my little magic trick from when I'm editing. I keep forgetting I can do this with my notes. Seask. Okay. So the Seask. Okay. The Seask lives not only in the sea but also in rivers. Oh, there we go. We just answered your question right there, Kevin. um, but rivers and streams and can be made by granting three wishes to anyone who captures her. Marriages sometimes occur between Seask and humans, and famous maritime pilots are often reported to describe descending from such unions. Even when these marriages end and the sea returns to the sea, they will always take an interest in their human descendants, protecting them in storms or guiding them through to the best fishing grounds. The sea is sometimes imagined as something more monstrous. In some tales, she swallows the hero, and her remains live in her. The remains live in her stomach. The hero's wife plays a harp until the mermaid is charmed and the hero escapes. When the wife stops playing, the mermaid swallows her, and the hero must consult a wizard for help. He is told that he must obtain a special egg that contains the mermaid's life force. Yeah, yeah, I think you're right, Twisted. I believe you are. Yeah. Hey, Corey, never had a thing for elves until I saw Liv take. Oh God, yes. And Lord of the Rings. Oh God, yes. Reminds me, I've got a image I created. I probably ought to send to you. It might make you like elves again too. Yeah, she Liv Taylor in Lord of the Rings was banging. He obtains the egg, rescues his wife, and kills the mermaid by crushing the egg. In these stories, the hero had been promised to the mermaid before his birth. His father had been childless, and the mermaid promised him sons on condition that the firstborn would be given to her. The Scottish folklorist Donald McAkeenes suggested that the Seask may originally have been a sea goddess to whom human beings were sacrificed. I'm settled down. Get it. All right. I'm coming down, Twisted. So one of my favorite ones, and that's just because, well, it's part of my bloodline. We're going to be talking about the Norse mermaids next. For all you YouTube people, this is straight for educational purposes, and this is actual paintings from the areas, not made for children. Your Norse, you're going to see a combination of the Norse, considering their mermaids to look a lot like this. So that once again, you're getting that aspect of it. I don't want to keep that up too long. Although popularized by the Danish writer Hans Christian Andersen in his fairy tale The Little Mermaid, which I never knew The Little Mermaid was written by a Norse. I didn't know that until I was doing this. I was like, well, that kind of makes sense now. It was not widely known that mermaids had their origin in much older Scandinavian folklore called the Mirgir. World of Warcraft had an ad that had a half elf that looked like a marquee post. Huh. I didn't know that. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Yep, I got the blue eyes. That is actually a very big misconception, though, Twisted. They all didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes. A lot of them had dark hair. Thor, the thunder god, was known for having red hair and red beard. So the whole myth that the Norse were blonde haired, blue eyes is not true. It's actually way not true. But that's what we're conditioned to believe because of all the movies and the comics and all this stuff like that. The comic book Thor is not the traditional real Thor. The actual real Thor is red haired and has a big beard. He's not the smartest and he's not the brightest brick in the brick pile, but he's the strongest. He's known as the protector of Asgard, the bane of all Jotuns and trolls and goblins and all that. Called the Mirgir in the Old Norse, the name loosely translates to sea spirit or sea giantess. Keyword, giantess. As the Nordic conception of natural forces often become personified in the form of the powerful supernatural beings like the forces of nature they represent. I've got to do that because I know I'm not putting my vowels right in this, and it's bugging the hell out of me. Marjager. Also sometimes seen as a malevolent and violent, other times exceedingly beautiful and helpful, but always commanding a sense of reverence. All, and in many cases, outright worship by those that behold them. The epithet of the water wife as the mermaid has sometimes been called reflects on not only the intimate relationship that European man has always had with the sea, but also the profound sense of love and respect that our European traditions show to our women folk. Um, that's a very big misunderstanding. Nephilim were not or not the only giants. There are many types of giants. Nephilim was a type of giant. If you actually study giants in history, there was more than one kind. Nephilim was just a kind of giant. In North mythology, your Jotuns are giants. They're not Nephilim, they're Jotuns. There's frost Jotuns and there's mountain Jotuns and all this other types of Jotuns. Um, the fact that Nephilim were all giants were Nephilim is actually really false. It's that I love the Norse language, but if you don't get the vowels correct, you'll jack that up anytime. No worries, Corey. You're fine, buddy. Yes, many tribes were giants. Yeah, there was many. A lot of people don't know the Osage, the Native American tribe, the Osage, were considered giants. They were on an average of 7 foot tall. Back when most of the Native American tribes were 5'4", your Osage were 7 plus. So in them times, your Osage were giants. One of my shows when I talked about Bigfoot, I classify Sasquatch as a type of giant because of their height. Now you got a giant in your backyard called Pikes Peak. What the hell is going on with it? It's called Pikes Peak. Wow, that'd be a fun mountain. I'd love to go see Pikes Peak sometime. Um, this mermaid was most likely worshipped by Viking sailors who who have called upon her like the Seer in a pagan plot, sacrifice, or offering for a safe voyage at sea. It was not until the forceful introduction of Christianity into Europe that the mermaid became primarily associated with evil. When the church condoned all water spirits as um, accursed beings, no doubt due to their connection with heathen worship. So you can see where the Catholic Church had come in and and changed everything up. If it wasn't their way, it was evil. It was their way or the highway. And this is why you see so many people that would not convert to their way of thinking were killed. They were tortured. They were imprisoned. If you did not go by their ways and their beliefs, they took you out. And you can see where they're changing the stuff that we've known throughout history as good things, entities that help people, much like your Sasquatch, much like your Fae. They're now bad and evil because this is what the church says. Consider Raphaim. Tim, my brother was stationed at Fort Carson. I got to visit Pikes Peak. Fascinating place. I would love to go. I really would love to go to Pikes Peak sometime. This gorgeous painting by Ulf shows the mermaid in all her divine glory, serving as a good omen to the Viking warship that is setting sail. Ulf's masterful hand has left no detail undone, from the meticulous rendering of each scale to the individual planks of the ship. Even the even the veins can be seen in the mermaid's fair breast, with each drip with the water. In her hand, the mermaid holds the Vegsvir. While often referred as the Viking compass, it was not believed to be used until after the Viking Age. Yes, indoctrination. The Catholic Church did that a lot I hate the word pagan. I really hate the word pagan. Pagan was a term that was brought about the Catholic Church to downgrade people who didn't believe the way they did. We weren't called pagans in the old days. We were Norse. We were Danes. We were Scandinavians. We were Gauls. We were whatever we were. The pagan was a term that came out for the church to degrade people that didn't believe the way they did. That's why I'm not a fan of the term pagan. People take it nowadays and they think it's, hey, I'm a paganist. You're downgrading yourself. You know, when I talk about, hey, I'm Norse, I'm not saying I'm pagan. I'm not Norse pagan. I'm Norse. Give me a second. Let me pop that up, Twisted. I'll have to move the picture around before I put it up. Yeah, there's a lot there. Really, there is. The Catholic Church is not the saint and savior that people claim it is. They've done a lot of evil in this world. Give me a second here because I don't want to show this picture way too much because that picture I showed was the picture I was just talking about in my notes. It's very, very detailed. That's why I didn't want to leave it up a whole lot. So this is what a lot of people call the Norse compass, which came about a long time after the Viking Age. This is the most common compass you're going to see associated with Norse. We didn't have a compass. We had a what's called a sunstone that helped to guide us. But that's that compass that they were just talking about, Twisted. Yeah, I haven't seen her, Corey. I haven't seen her, but you piqued my interest. Um, I can show you. Let me look in here real quick. Give me a minute. Some of these other ones are going to be short because they don't have a whole lot that talks about them. It was hard to find any worthy notes on them, as everything keeps referencing back to Europe and not focused on the area that I was wanting. So these stories haven't been coming out a whole lot. So that's an interesting story because I've done shows in the beginning that talks about stone giants and the fact that the god and gods, depending on what religion that you're going off of, even Christianity will tell you God was displeased with the giants, caused the flood to wipe them out. And a lot of these mountain ranges that you're seeing are either remains of dragons or the remains of giants, and that's why they look the way they do. Yeah.
Okay, so it's getting to that time of the year when it starts to get colder.
Why are you playing? I don't want you to play. The same design as the wristband in the Anunnaki research that Eric. I'll have to look into that, Twisted. I'm getting ready to save this picture and I'll show it to you. Actually, I don't have to say it. I should be able to share it just this way. Okay. This is a bigger representation of what they call a Norse compass, a Viking compass. Is that right there? That is the most common depiction that you're going to see when you hear about a Viking compass or a Norse compass. Is this right here? And you got the directions: north, south, east, west, northeast, south, or southeast, southwest, northwest, and with all the runes describing everything. This is what she had in her hands on the rock. Next one we're going to talk about is the Whales mermaid. And once again, you're going to see another depiction. Upper half, very human, lower half, fish. This here, she's in a river. But this is what the whales will tell you that a mermaid looks like. So you can see in different cultures, they have different depictions of what they look like. In Wales, the legend says that in the 6th century, a mermaid called Murga, which means woman who comes from the sea, was captured. She was thought to speak the native language, and she learned to sew and talk, but she never lost the ability to live in the water. Yep, that's very close to that one. Yeah, yeah. So this is another depiction of where you got that a mermaid can live on both land and water, and was married to humans. And she can speak the language, and she can do the human stuff. I mean, this is the whales one. Sadly, there wasn't a whole lot I could find on that one. The next one, this is going to be just a hair longer. That's the silky. We're not talking about that one today. Oh, no, there it is. So this is the Spanish from Spain. Spain's mermaid. Yet again, another redemption of them being half human, half fish. But these have a lot more colorful scales than most of the other ones you hear about. Yeah, 12. I didn't find any yet, but there's still a lot more mermaids that I can go over. I've picked the oldest ones for this show here, but I can continue researching and find more current ones. I just wanted to pick the older ones first. I mean, I'll get somewhat close to this area. Then that'll be the next one with Christopher Columbus. But a lot of what I wanted to do is the historical side of these and the ancient cultures, and try to let you guys see how far back this actually goes. Yes. If most of them encounters, if I remember correctly, Corey, were the ones I was talking about at the beginning of the show that was more fish-like than they were human, but they had humanoid features. But most of them were fish. The head, the fingers, the lower body was all fish-like with a human torso and human arms. The Starbuck's tail originally was actually the two-tailed mermaid, and I talked about that in one of my previous shows. But yes, the Starbucks, it was a Middle East mermaid, and she wasn't very pleasant. But yeah. Sounds good, Twisted. But yeah, I wanted to focus more on the historical side of this on this show here. Another famous legend in Spain is about the Sirenica from Cantabria. She is the mermaid who had once been a young and beautiful human girl. When I just noticed that stuff ain't on. Holy cow. And I know I turned this on earlier. Oh, I accidentally shut them off. Never mind. Yeah, I remembered. I turned them off for something and forgot to turn them back on. Sorry about that. Oh, top of the hour. Thank you, Roxanne. Yeah, sharp teeth and claws, yes. And they had webbed hands with claws at the end of their fingers, and they had a very fish-like head. It's top of the hour, so I want to get the Dark Angel Medical um, if you're looking for the best trauma kit or best first aid kit on the market, Dark Angel Medical 100% is the very best out there. That's why I asked Doc if it was okay that I can promote his company on my show, because I 100% believe in his product. You're going to pay a little extra money for stuff, but you get the absolute very best that you can get. And it's a kit for life. If you use it to save a life and you let Doc know about it, Doc will replace what you used in that kit absolutely for free. You can use DA's code Cryptid20 to get 20% off. It is FSA and HSA friendly. You can use them programs to buy these kits. If you go to YouTube to Dark Angel Medical, or you go to Instagram to Dark Angel Medical, you can watch videos on how to use his kits. I have two of them right now. This is the one I carry when I'm in the field, and then I have another one that sits on the back headrest of my truck. And I'm going to buy another headrest one for my work truck. This is how much I believe in their stuff, that I am willing to spend my own money to keep that kind of trauma kit in my work truck, especially for what I do for a living. So head over to Dark Angel Medical and get some of Doc's kits. You will not be disappointed. If you get a mermaid, you'll quit drinking. Depends on how my encounter with the mermaid is. Yeah. Twisted, they do have payment programs. So if you actually are on a budget, and that's how I bought my kits. I bought both my kits on a payment program. They actually do have a payment program that you can buy the kits from. So if you can't afford one outright, look into that as well. So if you're wanting one of them kits, try that out, Twisted. You may be able to afford it that way. Another famous legend in Spain is about the Sirenica from Cantabria. She is a mermaid who once was a young, beautiful human girl. When she was a human, she had lived near the sea at the edge of high cliffs with her family. For her own safety, Sirenica had been banned from going to the cliffs. However, she always disobeyed her mother and going to the cliff's edge to gather shellfish. One day, her mother got tired of her disobedient ways and shouted the curse, "God, grant that you become a fish." At that moment, her legs began to shift and change into the long, bright tail of a fish. Spanish tradition says if you listen carefully, you can still hear Cyrenaica's song in the mist along the shore of the cliffs, warning sailors of their dangers. I only had to chew my arm off once. Yeah, that's fine, Twisted. I really do. I think they are best. But yeah, I mean, see if you can apply for that payment program. You might be able to do it. That's how I did mine. That's how I'll probably do the next one. And this is going to be another kind of short one. This is going to be Christopher Columbus's encounters and what he describes seeing when he saw these mermaids. It's telepathic. So when Christopher Columbus wrote about mermaids, this is what he saw, and he actually saw mermaids. So this is this is around the North American continent side that we're talking about, but he did see them on his travels. One of the most famous sightings was done by Christopher Columbus himself, who wrote in his logbook that he had seen 3 mermaids, but they were not as beautiful as they were represented, which somehow had the face of a man. The assessment is ideal for the illustration of the theory that the alleged sightings of mermaids have usually been sightings of manatees, walruses, or other animals. And that's what I was kind of talking beginning of the show. There's absolutely no way, and I don't care how hard up you are, there's absolutely no way that you can mistake a manatee or walrus or anything like that as half human, half fish. Anybody that thinks that, you're not using your brain cells very well. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean, but think about it. You guys have seen pictures of manatees and walruses and stuff like that. They do not look human. They very much do not look human. So I strongly disagree with mainstream science in saying that. That is mainstream science trying to discredit accounts of history and things that's out there that they do either A, do not want people to believe in, or B, they don't want people to know about. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, so please don't take it that way. I mean, that's just the dang truth of it. Common sense, science, and everything else would tell you that. Where did you go? Where did you go? Oh, there you are. So the next one we're going to talk about is, y'all are familiar with the ancient Greek story, the Odyssey. And in this one here is one of the oldest renditions of a mermaid that you're going to find. And this is where they originally, in this time, in Greece, they were described as being half human and half bird. So like I was talking about at the beginning of the show, before they got to the beliefs that mermaids were half human, half fish, this is how, over in that area in Greece and stuff like that, they were firm believers that mermaids were half human, half birds. And this is from the rendition of the Odyssey. That's funny, Roxanne. Meow meow. Meow. And do Kitty talk to her. See, literary text that introduced mermaids in history was the Odyssey, written by Homer, who explains how the hero Odysseus himself had tried to tied himself to the mast of his boat in order to listen to the mermaid's song. without any danger. Although he is not the only one who managed to be uninjured, the Argo ship crew, commanded by Jason, was also unharmed. They managed to escape from the bewitching melodies thanks to the great musician called Orpheus, son of Apollo, who traveled with them and who, with a magical song, managed to avoid the mermaids. Ezekiel 1:5. Ezekiel describes seeing what he believes are women with the whole lower bodies of a fish. He goes on to say that their hair is like women's hair and they have hands of women. Yep. See, there you go. I mean, and that's in the Bible. And Knocker were playing around with a lot of critters. Yeah, buddy, they were. Yeah. And that's awesome. You bring that one up, Twisted, because that's our next one. Our next one is Christians. A lot of people, will say that Christians don't believe in mermaids. Well, you just seen what Twisted posted up there. This is an artist's rendition of a Christian who had seen a mermaid. So I mean, even in Christianity, even though the Catholic Church, mainstream science, and all these others will tell you that these things don't exist, that they're demonic or unholy or whatever the term is they want to use, even in the Bible, it talks about mermaids. Christians consider the seductive singing as an incitement to lust. Later, the mermaid seduction stopped being something people could hear in order to become something more visual. Now, the images that represent mermaids are the ones of ladies of water, very beautiful and showing provocative gestures to those who glimpse at them. There are mermen as well, and we've hit a couple of them up in here already. I can't remember if what other ones do I got? Africa, Germany. So I can't remember on these next two if they talk about the mermen or not. But yeah, there's mermen too. If you guys are interested in my books, you can go to Amazon.com and look up e.d.testerman, and it will give you pull up one of my books. If you click my name above it, where did it go? Oh, okay, there it is. It'll take you to my author's fan page, and you'll be able to follow me there. And anytime I release a new book, it will let you know. Okay, good. We're still doing good on time. The next one we're going to talk about is, yes, King Arthur's Lady of the Lake. In some tales, you hear her described as a mermaid. In other tales, she's just a magical entity that's a beautiful female. But there is some tales in King Arthur's folklore of her being very mermaid-like. The Queen of Sheba, who is described in the Bible as a wealthy, powerful ruler, is believed by some to have actually been a mermaid. I didn't know that one, Twisted. So this is probably the most famous of the African mermaids. And she is in several of her artist renditions. She is depicted having snakes with her. So there's a lot of snakes involved with this type of mermaid. But once again, you see the pointy ears, but you see the human face, human hands, human torso, fish body. The Mamiwata, the Mami Water, or similar is a mermaid, water spirit, or goddess in the folklore of parts of Western Africa, Eastern Africa, Southern Africa. Historical scholars trace her origins to early encounters between Europeans and West Africans in the 15th century, where Mami Wata developed the form depictions of European mermaids. Mami Wata joined native phantoms of deities and spirits in parts of Africa. Historically, Mami Wata is conceived of as an exotic female aquatic entity. In the middle 19th century, Mama Wata's iconography becomes particularly influenced by an image of snake charmer Nala Damajanti spreading from Europe. This snake charmer print soon overtook Mami Wata's earlier mermaid pictures paintings in popularity in some parts of Africa. Additionally, Hindu imagery from India merchants have influenced depictions of Mami Wata in some areas. Papi Wata, a male consort or reflection of Mami Wata, sometimes depicted as model from the Hindu deity Hanuman, can be found in some Mami Wata traditions, sometimes under the influence of Hindu imagery. Mami Wata is especially ventured in parts of Africa and in the Atlantic diaspora that she been demonized in African Christian and Islamic communities. Mami Wata was appeared in a variety of media depictions and in literature works. Um, yeah, I mean, we're seeing this a lot with merfolk. Is um, there's a lot of mythical creatures are real. Merfolk is definitely in that category. First Kings. Twisted. What verse in First Kings, the Queen of Sheba, who is described as in the Bible as a wealthy, powerful ruler, is believed to be actually a mermaid? Tim's wanting to know. Tim, I don't remember. It's when she visits King Solomon and brings him a gift. See, I don't remember that either. So, I mean, I want to look that up as well because I don't remember that either. Last but not least, but the last one for today, we're going to talk about the German mermaid. So this is what the Germans depict what their mermaid looks like. This is an artist rendition of one. I'm on several different platforms. You can go to X and find me there at the Bazaar 2023, Patreon at Bazaar and the Unknown, Twitch at the Bazaar and the Unknown, and Rumble at the Bazaar and the Unknown. I keep saying it, and I haven't done it. I need to get my butt together and get a freaking current events video, especially with everything going on. With all that, German romantic poets used to talk about monsters and wonders found in mermaids. A new motif. It is at that time when lonely mermaids were discovered solitarily in Germanic rivers. So here we go again, another one that's in fresh water. Hey, you had Ariel from Little Mermaid, so I kind of hit on that, Roxanne. And they were also confused with Naiads and Undines. Sometimes they kept using their voices as a seductive weapon, but other times it was their beauty that was attractive, as one could see them in a corner while looking at themselves in the mirror and brushing their hair. So this is where you see the depiction of them brushing their hair, looking in a mirror, actually comes from the Germanic ones. Instead, the post-romantic painters imagined them as more aggressive, jumping themselves over the sailors from the sea. It was the typical image of the femme fatale of the 19th century. In contrast, Romanticism also created the kind of ruminous mermaid desiring to change and become a woman, changing her tail and legs. The story of the Little Mermaid, written by Christian Andersen, is a clear example of this. So when modernizing mermaids become an echo of the old seductive creatures, and everything mythical evaporates and even trivialized. So you can see where a lot of our pop culture stuff, New Age thinking of mermaids, it is actually a bunch of different tales throughout ancient cultures that is put together to create what we have now. Yeah, Twisted. That's why I was. That was the one I was talking about earlier when I did his. Sorry, my oldest text me real quick. Hey, William. Heck yeah! I don't know if I want to eat that kind of sushi or not. But I mean, so we're seeing here. I mean, this mermaids date back 30,000 years. So this is nothing new. This is not modern pop culture. This is not. I mean, we talked about how many different ancient cultures talking about this. One, which is the Greek. Two, the Middle East. Three, China. Four, Rome. Five, Ireland. Six, Scotland. Seven, Norse. 8, Wales. Spain is 9. 10, Christopher Columbus. 11, the Odyssey. 12, Christians. 13, Africa. 14, Germany. 14 different time frames, 14 different types of civilizations, and they're all talking about these mermaids. Now, they're all very similar, but they're all not the same either. But it's curious. I mean, as you can see, quite a bit of them in there talking that, yes, they were humanoid looking, but they had a lot of fish-like features to them. Like the one that I saw in that postcard from that petrified remains from the Florida Museum. It was more fish-like than it was human, but it was very humanoid as well. Yep, and that's the problem. Some people think that any legend or lore is made up fantasy when there's different cultures and times, even up to this day. Exactly. And that's why I love doing these types of shows, is because I want to show people that it's right here. 1 Kings 11. I want to look that up. Let me get this other deal set up here. Oh, dude. Did you have to right under me? If you guys ain't following my good brother William Nighthawk, who's in the chat now, go to YouTube and look up William Nighthawk 6630, and give him a follow, like, subscribe, and let him know I said hi. William is a fountain of information, and you will not be disappointed in his shows. And I'm on with him from quite often. I'll pop this up here. Yes, thank you, David. I forgot that. We may be going live tonight, so keep an eye on that. It's smelly there. Yes, a very bad one, Roxanne. Let me pop this up so you guys can see it as well. Start at 1 Kings 10. Okay. Although he had forbidden Solomon to follow other gods, Solomon did not keep to the Lord's command. So the Lord said to Solomon, since this is your attitude and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees, which I command you, I will most certainly tear down the kingdom, tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. Nevertheless, for the sake the hand of your son, yet I will not tear down the kingdom from him. So that's not talking about the Queen of Sheba. That's First King 11. King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides the Pharaoh's daughter. Motivates and nominees and Haiti. There were from nations about the Lord and had us Israelites. You must not intermarry with them because they will surely turn your hearts after the gods. Nonetheless, oh, that's 11, ain't it? Yeah, that's 11. Let me go to 10 and see what it says. Yeah, that's 11. That was 11. This is 10 here. Here it is, 10. When the Queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon and his relationship to the Lord, she came to test Solomon with hard questions. Arriving at Jerusalem with a very great cavern with camels carrying spices, large quantities of gold, and precious stones, she came to Solomon to talk to him about all that she had on her mind. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was too hard for the king to explain to her. When the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and placed Roxanne. Yeah, strange women. Yeah, I said that in there. I mean, I'll go back to 11. Yeah, I'm trying to find where it talks about it could be a merfolk. I mean, I went back to 11. So I'm not seeing Sheba anywhere in 11. Let me go back up to the top here. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm not finding anything about a mermaid being mentioned in here or with the Queen of Sheba. Queen of Sheba is mentioned in the First Kings 10, but I'm not seeing her in First Kings 11. It's talking about how his all his wives and concubines believed in different gods, which ended up causing him to start looking in favor in their gods, like Sinadonis and Molech, and which caused evil in God's eyes. Hey, Ida. Yeah, unicorns. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I didn't find anything about the Queen of Sheba in First Kings that talks about her being like a mermaid. I don't know. I will have to look at it more. Yes, and that's what I was kind of hitting about on your show yesterday, William, about how the women who mated with the Watchers, God cursed them and became a mermaid, and that's what I was talking about earlier in today's show when I said that you're going to see that a lot of times that either A, these were deities, or B, they were cursed. And that's a prime example in Christianity, how these mermaids were cursed, and that's why they became what they are. So you're going to see several different theories on mermaids in all these different cultures. But yeah, I couldn't find a. I'll have to research it, but I mean, I even had it up there on the computer screen. I couldn't find it in the King James version. I ought to look at the Torah. I'll have to look up the Torah and see if that has anything difference, because there's a lot of times the King James version doesn't follow the Torah, which is supposed to be what it's from, and the King James version leaves a lot of stuff out. So that could be in the Torah, just not the King James version. Oh, okay. Let me let me pop it up. Yeah, I got your picture of the Anunnaki wristband. I got that one. But I haven't got anything else from you yet, Twisted. Maybe it'll pop up here in a little bit. Yeah. But I haven't got it yet. I got your Anunnaki wristband. That's the only thing I've gotten from you so far, Twisted. But I'll take a look into Torah too. I prefer researching more when it comes to Christianity. I prefer researching more in the Torah than I do the King James because the Torah is going to be a lot more accurate than the King James version is. I'd love to get my hands on the Ethiopian Bible. William's got one, lucky dog. I haven't been able to get one yet, but I'd love to be research the Ethiopian one. Yeah, Enki was a god of water. He was also in the ancient Sumerian. Enki would be known as what we call God, or Enlil was the devil. But Enlil's the one that helped that teleported around the world to help teach people how to build and built pyramids all over the world. Thank you, Brother William. Yeah, please help the channel by hitting the like button and share. Yeah, thank you. No worries, Twisted. But yeah, you see in all these different cultures about this stuff. So there has to be some kind of truth. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, could have been that they were real at one time and they no longer are. That is a possibility. I cannot deny that possibility. Even though me, myself, and I believe they still exist because there's still, to this day, plenty of encounters. They're not a whole lot. There's a few of them, which lead me to the possibility of them very, very well still being alive. In Lil, God of Air, Yahweh. Yep. Yep. But if you actually start a little Inlu or in okay, never mind. Um, when he went around teaching people how to build pyramids and build buildings and all this other stuff, he later became evil and was known as what we would call the devil. But so yeah, these things have been around for a long time. I mean, what's your guys' thoughts? You guys believe that these things are real or still exist? I'm curious. Some of you guys have answered that already. Waiting to see if Twisted's email came in yet. While I'm waiting on that, I can do this. William says there's a recent sighting of a mermaid in Alaska that killed a man. claimed shell hunting on the beach. Wow. Niruta Inki, sister, scientific DNA expert. All this recording and paintings and rock drawings, there has to be truth to it. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah. No worries. No worries. Yeah, I mean that's another one. I mean, the underwater I mean, even them underwater welders have talked about seeing megalodon and all this other stuff. I mean, they said they were seeing sharks so big um, that seemed like the body kept going on and on and on. I got it twisted. Trying to get it to pop up. It's funny too, is a lot of them underwater welders also describe seeing other types of dinosaurs that's supposed to be extinct as well. Yeah, I was reading that part earlier. This is what I was reading earlier. In the Congo, where it's marshy, few go in have. Yeah, that's the Malokale Lubimbe. Yep, I did a show about that a little while back. Oh, it's a Jewish archive. Okay, that's cool, man. He made some bank. I'm trying to share this here that Twisted sent me. This is very close to what I was reading earlier. In the Midrash account, the Queen of Sheba heard of King Solomon's great wisdom and declared, I will go to see whether he is wise or not, and I will come to test him with riddles. She came to Solomon and asked him, Are you the Solomon about whose kingdom and about whose wisdom I have heard? He replied that he was. She then said to him, You are truly wise. Now I will ask you something, and we shall see if you are capable of answering me. To which he responded, For the Lord's grants will ask you something, and we shall see if you are capable of answering me. To which the Lord grants wisdom, knowledge, and discernment, and are here by his decree. Proverbs 2:6. The Queen of Sheba asked, what are the seven that wisdom, or what are the seven that issue and nine that enter? The two that offer drink and the one that drinks. Solomon answered, The seven that issue are the 7 days of menstrual impurity. The nine that enter are the 9 months of pregnancy. The two that offer drink are the breast, and the child is the one who drinks. Midrash Proverbs. The Queen of Sheba exclaimed, You are truly wise. I will not put another question to you. and we shall see if you can answer me. He responded, For the Lord grants wisdom. She asked him, How can a woman say to her son, Your father is my father, your grandfather is my husband, and you are my son, and I am your sister? Solomon replied, The two daughters of Lot, who became pregnant by their father and bore sons. When the queen of Sheba saw that he solved her riddles, she brought before him children who were of the same height and who were alike in attire. She asked him, Distinguish between the males and the females. He made a sign to his eunuchs, who brought him nuts and roasted ears of corn, which they scattered before the children. The males, who were not bashful, collected them and tied them within hems of their garments. The girls, however, were bashful, since their bodies would be revealed if they were to tie their undergarments, and therefore tied them within outer garments. Solomon told the queen, Those are the males, those are the females. She told him, You are exceedingly wise. Yeah. See, I had hell to get it loaded hours to be one. Yeah. Yeah, and I forgot about that. Yes, there's other dinosaurs. Why is that doing that? Other dinosaurs that are talked about in the Congos and throughout Africa. Yeah. The Colosthine was thought extinct for million years until discovered off the Africa coast in 1938, caught in a net by fishermen by the ocean out there. Yeah. And they said, we eat these things all the time. Um, I'm trying to find the part where it talks about her being half fish. I didn't see in there where it was talking about she was part fish. I'm gonna have to look at this one later. Twisted. I don't want to spend the whole show looking over that. I'll have to look that up. Now, from what I was reading there, I haven't seen anything yet about that. Oh, yeah, that would cause them not to want to talk about that stuff. Actually, here in a little bit, DA Roberts is going to go live here in about 9 minutes. And it's going to be the Campfire Tales with possibly him and Robbie and Doc. Depends on if Robbie's got power or not. We'll have to wait and see. So if you go to YouTube and go to look up DX Machina, give him a like, follow, and share. Let him know I said hi. He's also a really good author. If you go to Amazon, type in d.a.roberts. Do the same as me. Click the name above his book and follow him. Anytime he releases a book, I'll let you know. Robbie, if things are going right, he has a show called What's Really Out There. He calls it DX Machina Light. He's a co-host with DX Machina. Him and Johnny do a really good job. If you guys can, follow Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress. Go to YouTube, thecryptidhuntress.com. She does some really good stuff. I try to go in there with her. She's been on my show a few times. I've been on her show a few times. She does pretty good. My friend, fellow author, and actor Jesus Payon Jr. Go to YouTube, look up Breaking Discoveries and Breaking Bigfoot, and give him a follow. He don't post a lot all the time, but when he has something good, he'll post it on there. Yeah, with an NDA, I can see, Tim, why he wouldn't be talking about it. If you're looking for some really good hand-forged knives, go to brockblades.com. Ken does an amazing job, and he hand-forges all his knives. He's retired law enforcement. If you're looking for a good motorcycle mechanic in Springfield, Missouri, go see Peanut at Nuts and Bolts Harley Shop in Springfield. He's really good. Let's let him know I said hi. I'll check that out later because it's going to take me a while to read through all that. Yeah, they're a type of fish that was thought to be extinct, but when the scientists were over there and they couldn't believe what they're seeing, it's like, nah, these things ain't extinct. We eat them all the time. They're delicious. They're a delicacy. I didn't catch that. I heard that if Robbie was having power, he could be on there. Sound like Doc maybe too, but it might be him. Corey says, my grandpa was tight-lipped about Operation High Jump. Yeah, a lot of them were. Got them out of the way. So we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up. I'll do some more research. I may have to do a show on the Queen of Sheba. I'll have to do some research. I've never personally have seen that, but it doesn't mean it ain't there. I could have overlooked it. I'm just going to have to read through a bunch of stuff to figure it all out. If anything, I'll do a small video about it to get it posted on there. Like I said, here in 5 minutes, DA is going to have a show coming on called Campfire Tales, where he's reading his books and his stories that he writes. It's really good. I hope to see you guys over there. Like I said, go to YouTube, look up D.A. Roberts, and give him a like, subscribe, and share, and a thumbs up. Let him know I said hi. Here's a poem I like to read at the end of my show on Sundays. It's something I've wrote. I haven't changed it yet. I just kind of like how it is. There comes a time when a warrior falls. They leave this realm and will be missed by all. Raise a glass and keep them in your heart. They have kept this realm safe and performed their part. Look to your veterans, your active duty, your EMTs in the blue line. What they do or have done must walk that fine line. When a demon comes calling on your soul, they will be there to save us all. Hold them in your prayers, for they are deserving. They all have served or are serving. Thank you, William. That's fine, Twisted. That's fine. I'll take a look at it. Yeah, no worries, Brother William. It'd be good. I'm getting ready to get some dinner in me, finish my laundry up, and I got to go to bed. I got to be up at 05. I've also got a video that I finished today about Saint Germain. I'm probably going to have it released Wednesday, so keep an eye on YouTube for that. I'll put some stuff up letting you all know, but I was able to get it done, able to get it downloaded today. I just got to set it up on my YouTube, set it release. So like I said, I'll have it probably released for Wednesday night. So until next week, you guys, peace, love, and blessings. Thank you for coming in. If you got any questions, you can always hit me up in the chat or hit me up on my yeah. I'm a county worker, so we got it made pretty easy there, David. So until next time, y'all. Peace, love, and blessings to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much. I'm truly blessed and humbled you come to listen to me. Let's build this universe. Let's get the word out there and let's have fun. So until next time, guys, I'll see you then.